Welcome to View from the Top. I am Modile Sharafa Yusuf, and I'm glad that you could join us today. Senator Bukola Saraki is a senator representing Kwara Central Senatorial District. He's a former governor of Kwara State and a two-time chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum. He's currently the chairman, Senate Committee on the Environment. A very vocal commentator on national issues. He joins me today on View from the Top, and I'm delighted that he could do so. Thank you, Senator Saraki, for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
I ask you to please stay with us. We will take a short break now as we bring you a brief biography of Senator Saraki. We'll be back. Senator Saraki, you were two-time chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, and you continue to take active part in its activities. Nigerians are wont to ask, what does the NGF contribute to governance in Nigeria?
Well, the Nigerian Governors Forum, it's a voluntary forum where governors of the 36 states meet, discuss national issues, non-partisan basis. It is voluntary. It gives a platform to be able to share ideas, share experiences, all towards improving governance. Being able to come together on sometimes issues that divide the country. They can take a common position on it. And in the past, we have seen when that has been useful in crises where the Governors Forum has played a role in trying to resolve those kind of issues. They've also come together to discuss best practices in some of the policies being done in different states. It's shown from all over the parts of the world that those kind of forums give you an opportunity to learn from each other and be able to improve governance. So there is great value in that kind of gathering or that kind of club, if you put it that way.
So how did this very important organization get to this level where there's division and there's...
That's a recent event. I mean, in the past, since it started, we've never had this kind of situation that we have now. It's very unfortunate. And we hope that it's something that it will go, it will eventually resolve itself. Unfortunately, it's a casualty of the circumstances that we find ourselves in. As I said, I mean, when you have people who have the same peers, there's no boss, and they're all contemporaries, so it shouldn't have this problem. But when you get interference from outside and it becomes politicized, and that's where you have this kind of issue.
How can they heal?
Well, I think they have to allow the events around us presently either to subside, or they themselves will have to make sacrifices here and there. But I think in doing that, you see, you can heal when you first accept the truth, accept the reality. And then after accepting reality, you look for solution. You can't get solution without accepting. What do I mean by that? It's clear, it's obvious to everybody that in the last election, Roti Amechi won the election. Now, if you say that in the interest of the forum going forward, Roti Amechi should make certain sacrifices in the Ministry of Peace, that's a different issue. But before you get to that point, to demand that, you must first accept the issue of what is right, justice, and because you're building an institution for tomorrow, and there must be certain principles that must exist. Yes, in the past, we don't have such competitive elections. We used to decide by consensus, but the constitution of the forum does give guidelines for election. And once you've agreed to go down the route of election, then you must accept the results of election. Now, after accepting the result of election, if you now decide that as a group that, look, in the interest of this forum, this is how we think we should do. But to go ahead and begin to set up parallel structure, illegal structures will not help. I'm confident that very soon, hopefully before the end of the tenure of the existing governor, they will come together, because I'm sure neither one of them would like to leave as one of their legacies the fact that they met a united governors forum and they live in a divided governors forum. So I'm sure that, you know, better judgment will come before the end of 2015, and, you know, this will be resolved and the forum will go back to being as strong as it used to be.
The official statistics show that agric remains the largest contributor to the Nigerian economy. Official statistics, as I said, accounting for 40% of GDP and providing employment for about 70% of our people. Yet billions of dollars in scarce foreign resources, foreign exchange are spent on importing food annually, and millions of people are still said to be unemployed. So why has it been so difficult for people to understand that agriculture will solve two of our pressing problems, that of food security and unemployment? And
wealth creation, 3. Because people in the past have not understood it. Before we came along in Kwara State, people used to see agric as a developmental project. They didn't see agric as a business. That mindset of agriculture, so the policies of government has always been subsidized, right, on the input side. Give the farmers, give them a tractor, give them fertilizer, give them seeds. Okay, give them fertilizer, give them seeds. What next?
So that, what next?
Exactly. And who are you giving to? A 70-year-old man in the village who cannot carry a laptop like you and walk to the bank and do a business plan. How? You can see the limitations. And this has always been the psyche and the attitude. And that is what we did in Kwara and said, no, this is a business. You've got to see it from a business point of view. So a man doing a 2-hectare farm and a man that do a 200-hectare farm, you can know by the, you know, the skills of that the 200-hectare farm is going to be more profitable. Can I get a younger person, a 37, 32-year-old person running that farm, who's been to school, who can do a cash flow? You can see the difference, who understands the new modern technology. So now, what people are beginning to realize now is that we've got to shift, and that is what is happening now. So, as you rightly said, why? And then again, policies of government. Agric is not a 1 year, 6 months. You're talking about long term. So there must be stable policy, which could go beyond a 4-year term. You know, you must have policies when you invest in agric. The investor must know that at least, you know, 8 years down the term, your policy is consistent. You can't have a policy today, you say you ban importation of rice, then the next day you say no importation of rice, or bring as many as you want. Those who have invested along those lines, you know, would get their fingers burned. So that's the reason. It's just now the key issue right there is the policies. The policies must be right to support it. I think before we've only been just doing lip service to it, and it's not being supported. Even look at infrastructure. We have a lot. We have 3 of the 3 major rivers in Africa. But go there. How much irrigation are you seeing? The level of irrigated land that is very low. So these are kind of the things that have happened over the past that show that we're not really serious about agriculture. I think it's now that we begin to see some level of seriousness at national level and also at the subnational level. So
are you happy with what's happening at the national level in terms of agriculture?
I think, I say it, you know, I'm one of those that if you're doing well, I'll tell you you're doing well. If you're not doing well, I'll tell you you're not doing well. I think that the minister has the right idea. From day one, he came in and said, agric has to be seen as a business. Where I think he can be doing better, there's no synergy, or not necessarily, inadequate synergy between the national and the states. You cannot drive agriculture at the national level because the land, the people, all that is at the state level. There has to be better synergy between the minister and the governors and the commissioners, and so that the policies are in sync. You know, the minister says, for example, I want us to be producing a lot of cassava. The policies are there, but if they're not driven down to the state level, because that's where you energize and get the farmers to do it, it's not going to happen because the farmers are at the local level. So some of his own ideas, I don't see the buy-in at the state's level. And once there's no buying at the state level, then you see the frustration in. But what he's put forward, I think is a good step in the right direction.
Before we leave the issue of agriculture and what you did in Kwara State, tell me, what is it that you feel most proud of about your 8 years in Kwara State, as Governor of Kwara State?
Wow. I think the commercial agriculture project was one, because it was visionary. To something, there's nothing you enjoy more than when you believe in something and people doubt you from day one. And as time goes on, people begin to see, he was right. And I used to say it. I said, look, even if you don't agree with me, I think at least let us agree that we need to do something differently. And I'm happy that the country, we're moving in that direction. That's one. Secondly, one of the other things that we did, which didn't get a lot of attention, was the health insurance scheme in the informal sector. At my time, we launched a scheme where we provided healthcare, free healthcare for the informal sector, where you would pay an insurance as low as 300 naira annually, and you were entitled to free primary healthcare. I think that's another policy I hope will go national very soon. We've been running it now when I was governor in collaboration with Dutch government and a couple of Dutch insurance companies and funds, and it's fantastic. You can imagine one of the major issues, and this, with my background, is primary health care. We spend a lot of money on big hospitals, specialty hospitals. That's not where the problem is. The problem is other primary health care, malaria, child care, hypertension, diabetes. These are by detection. That being on the preventive side, you reduce a lot of these mortalities. And the key issue is being able for the people at the grassroots level to be able to afford. One of the reasons why they don't go to clinics is they cannot afford it. Just the treatment for malaria is more than 300. Now you find a lot of them will just stay at home and not do it, or even just going to the clinic to check your blood pressure and prevent some of the high blood pressure related diseases. But by making healthcare that cheap, it was now easier for our people in the villages to go to the clinics because the services we started it in Kwara North just before I left government. Moved to Kwara Central. The new governor, I think, has now taken it to Kwara South. So the entire state but it still needs serious funding. And part of the health bill, because of my experience, I mean part of the Committee on Health, we just passed National Health Bill, it's on one section that I insisted must be introduced. So I think that, to me, that was one of the things that I'm really proud that we initiated.
We will have to take a break now. Senator Saraki and I will be back in a bit, and I ask you to please join us again.